You're listening to The Literary Deep Dive. Each episode takes you beyond plot summaries into the heart of classic literature, exploring historical context, literary techniques, themes, cultural significance, and how these works have shaped our understanding of the human experience. This is a literary exploration that enriches your reading, sharpens your analysis, and deepens your appreciation of the written word.
Welcome to The Literary Deep Dive, a literary analysis podcast designed to help you understand classic books and plays at a deeper level. I'm Richard Backus, publisher of University Teaching Editions, and if you're a student working through challenging texts, a teacher preparing lesson plans, or a reader who wants to fully appreciate great literature, you're in the right place. Each episode of this podcast guides you through detailed, critical commentary on classic works, examining everything from historical context and author background to literary techniques, themes, and how critics have interpreted these texts over time. This is the same analysis available in our published study guides, now in convenient audio format. So if you're following along or want to dive even deeper, you can find the complete University Teaching Edition study guides on Amazon. For those of you who are new to the podcast, University Teaching Edition specializes in comprehensive literary study guides that go beyond simple plot summaries. Our guides provide the kind of in-depth analysis that helps students excel in their coursework, supports teachers in developing rich lesson plans, and enables serious readers to engage with literature at a scholarly level. Each guide includes detailed examinations of themes, characters, literary techniques, historical context, and critical reception. Everything you need to truly master a text. You can search for University Teaching Edition on Amazon to find our full catalog of study guides for classic and contemporary literature. In today's episode, we're examining The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Whether you're preparing for an exam, writing an essay, or just want to understand what makes this book significant, this analysis will give you the insights you need. And remember, while this podcast provides a comprehensive overview, the full University Teaching Edition study guide for critical commentary for The Outsiders, available on Amazon, includes additional materials, discussion questions, and resources that are perfect for deeper study or classroom use. Let's get started, the story behind the publication. So let's begin with something remarkable. The Outsiders emerged as a revolutionary work in American young adult literature when Viking Press first published it in 1967. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. Susan Eloise Hinton wrote this book during her junior year at Will Rogers High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She was just 16 years old. Think about that for a moment. At an age when most teenagers are worrying about homework and social drama, Hinton created a work that would fundamentally change American literature. This circumstance of authorship, a teenager writing about teenagers, significantly contributed to the book's authentic voice and its unprecedented success in capturing the adolescent experience with a real literary sophistication. The voice felt genuine and respectful because it was. It came from someone living that experience. Now, the path to publication wasn't smooth. The manuscript faced several rejections before an editor at Viking Press recognized its potential to appeal to both teenage and adult audiences. And here's an intriguing detail about the publishing strategy. They decided to publish under the initials S.E. Hinton, rather than the author's full name, Susan Eloise Hinton. Why? This was a deliberate marketing strategy designed to conceal the writer's gender and age, allowing the book to be judged purely on its literary merits rather than readers' potential preconceptions about a teenage female author writing about male gang culture. The initial print runs were modest. Publishers were uncertain about the market for serious young adult fiction, but early sales exceeded expectations, leading to multiple reprints within the first year. The novel's commercial success validated the emerging concept of young adult literature as a distinct literary category capable of supporting serious artistic and thematic exploration while remaining accessible to teenage readers. The international reach came quickly. British editions appeared through Gollancz in 1968, and translations into numerous foreign languages followed quickly. These international editions often required cultural adaptation while preserving the novel's essential themes of social conflict and adolescent alienation. What's fascinating is that the universality of these themes enabled successful translations into languages and cultures far removed from the American Southwest setting, demonstrating the work's relevance beyond its specific geographical and cultural origins. Different versions and editions. Here's something interesting about the text itself. Has The Outsiders changed significantly over the years? The answer is no, and that's actually quite unusual. The textual history reveals remarkable stability across editions. Unlike many novels that undergo significant revision between editions, Hinton's text has remained essentially unchanged since its initial publication. Variations are primarily limited to formatting, typography, and supplementary materials, rather than substantive content modifications. The original Viking Press manuscript, preserved in the author's personal archives, illustrates the meticulous revision process that preceded publication. Hinton's teenage composition process involved multiple drafts, with evidence of significant structural refinement and character development through successive versions. These preparatory materials reveal that the novel's apparent simplicity masks considerable artistic calculation and literary awareness. In other words, what reads so naturally and effortlessly was actually the result of careful, sophisticated work. Educational editions represent the most numerous category of textual variations. Publishers have developed specialized versions designed to support classroom instruction and student comprehension. These educational texts typically maintain complete fidelity to Hinton's original language while adding explanatory materials, vocabulary assistance, and interpretive guidance. The most successful editions achieve a balance between scholarly support and respect for students' independent reading experience. The 2005 special edition is particularly noteworthy. Published to commemorate the novel's 40th anniversary, it included previously unpublished materials such as the author's original character sketches and early chapter drafts. These supplementary materials provide important details about Hinton's creative process while maintaining the integrity of the published text. The inclusion of contemporary photographs of Tulsa locations referenced in the novel provides geographical context that enhances readers' understanding of the story's realistic foundation. Worth noting here, audio editions are particularly interesting since you're listening to an audio format right now. Professional audio recordings necessitate decisions about character voices, pacing, and emphasis that inherently involve subjective interpretation of Hinton's written text. The most successful presentations achieve authenticity in representing the Oklahoma dialect and youth culture language that characterizes the novel's distinctive voice. Why this book matters. So why does The Outsiders occupy such an important position in American literature? The answer is multifaceted, but it fundamentally comes down to this. The Outsiders was the inaugural work that established young adult fiction as a legitimate literary category, capable of addressing serious social and psychological themes while maintaining accessibility to teenage audiences. The work's revolutionary impact stemmed from its unprecedented portrayal of teenage characters as complex individuals capable of moral reasoning, emotional depth, and psychological sophistication, qualities previously reserved for adult protagonists in serious fiction. Hinton's approach challenged prevailing assumptions about appropriate subject matter for youth literature, demonstrating that adolescent readers could engage meaningfully with themes of violence, social injustice, and moral ambiguity when presented through authentic character development and compelling narrative structure. Within the context of the American literary tradition, The Outsiders represents a significant development in social realism. It adapted techniques pioneered by Depression-era writers such as John Steinbeck and Erskine Caldwell to address contemporary urban youth culture. The novel's focus on class conflict and economic inequality connects it to broader traditions of American social criticism, while introducing specifically adolescent perspectives that had been largely absent from serious literary discourse. The novel's canonical status within the educational curriculum reflects its unique ability to serve multiple pedagogical purposes simultaneously. Teachers have consistently found that The Outsiders facilitates sophisticated discussions of literary technique, social analysis, and moral development, while maintaining student engagement through accessible language and a compelling plot structure. This educational utility has ensured the novel's continued cultural presence across generations of American students, making it one of the most widely read works in secondary education. Looking at the bigger question of influence, the impact on subsequent literature proves immeasurable. The Outsiders established narrative patterns and thematic concerns that continue to shape the young adult genre. Contemporary authors consistently acknowledge Hinton's pioneering role in demonstrating that young adult fiction can achieve both artistic merit and commercial success while addressing serious social concerns. The novel's treatment of friendship, loyalty, and moral courage under pressure has become a template for countless subsequent works exploring adolescent development in challenging circumstances. Understanding the author. Let's shift our focus now to the person behind this groundbreaking work, Susan Eloise Hinton herself. Her extraordinary achievement in creating The Outsiders while still a teenager reflects the convergence of personal experience, literary talent, and social awareness that enabled her to capture an authentic adolescent voice with remarkable sophistication. Hinton's childhood in Tulsa exposed her to the social divisions that would become central to The Outsiders. Her middle-class background provided perspective on both the privileged sought culture and the struggles of working-class youth who formed the greaser social group. Her attendance at Will Rogers High School, which served students from diverse economic backgrounds, offered daily observation of the social dynamics that would inform her novel's realistic portrayal of teenage gang culture and class-based conflict. The author's early reading preferences significantly influenced her literary development. She particularly admired classic adventure novels and social realism, which demonstrated literature's capacity to address serious themes through engaging narrative structures. Works by authors such as Jack London, John Steinbeck, and Harper Lee provided models for combining accessible storytelling with social criticism. Her appreciation for Western novels also contributed to her understanding of character development under pressure and moral courage in challenging circumstances. Family influences played a crucial role too. Hinton's parents emphasized treating people with dignity, regardless of their economic status. This ethical foundation provided the basis for the novel's critique of social prejudice and class-based assumptions about character and worth. This family environment encouraged the young author's natural empathy and social awareness while supporting her literary ambitions, despite the unconventional nature of a teenage girl writing about male gang culture. Consider the personal documents that give us insight into her creative process. The preservation of Hinton's correspondence and materials provides remarkable insight into how The Outsiders came to be. Her correspondence with her editor at Viking Press exemplifies the collaborative nature of the publication process, while also revealing the author's confident defense of her artistic choices and thematic intentions. These letters show a teenager who possessed unusual maturity and literary awareness, capable of articulating sophisticated arguments about character development, thematic coherence, and narrative structure. Personal diary entries from the composition period provide intimate documentation of the author's creative process and emotional engagement with her fictional characters. These entries reveal the extent to which Hinton drew from personal observation while emphasizing her careful transformation of real experiences into fictional narratives that would achieve universal relevance. The diary materials also document the author's awareness of her novel's potential significance and her deliberate intention to create a work that authentically represents adolescent experience. The cultural context. Any literary work must be understood within its time and place. The landscape of 1960s. America provided crucial context for Hinton's composition of The Outsiders. The decade's characteristic tensions regarding social change, generational conflict, and economic inequality directly influenced the novel's thematic concerns and cultural significance. The civil rights movement's prominence during Hinton's adolescence contributed to a heightened awareness of social injustice and systemic inequality that permeates The Outsiders. Even though the novel focuses on class divisions rather than racial ones. The movement's emphasis on dignity, equal treatment, and social justice provided a conceptual framework for the novel's critique of class-based prejudice and its advocacy for individual worth regardless of economic status. Economic prosperity combined with persistent poverty during the 1960s created visible social contrasts that directly informed the novel's central conflict between socks and greasers. The decade's economic growth enabled increased affluence among the middle class, while leaving working class families struggling with limited opportunities for advancement. These economic realities provided immediate material for Hinton's exploration of how financial circumstances affect social relationships, educational opportunities, and individual prospects for personal development. Generational conflict reached particular intensity during the 1960s as young people increasingly challenged adult authority and traditional social values. The emerging concept of the generation gap provided a framework for understanding the teenage experience as distinct from adult perspectives, supporting the novel's treatment of youth characters as capable of independent moral judgment and social analysis. The psychological dimensions also help us understand the text more deeply. The Outsiders reflects a sophisticated understanding of adolescent development, social psychology, and human motivation that enables the novel's authentic portrayal of teenage experience and emotional complexity. Developmental psychology's insights regarding adolescent identity formation illuminate the novel's central characters, particularly Ponyboy's struggle to understand his place within both his immediate family and the broader social structure. The psychological concept of identity versus role confusion, identified by Erik Erikson as the primary developmental task of adolescence, provides a framework for understanding Ponyboy's internal conflicts and his eventual movement toward mature self-understanding. Social psychology principles regarding group dynamics and conformity pressure explain the powerful influence of gang membership on individual behavior throughout the novel. The psychological need for belonging and acceptance drives many character decisions while creating tension between group loyalty and personal moral reasoning. Hinton's portrayal of peer pressure and social conformity demonstrates an understanding of how group membership affects individual identity and decision-making processes, particularly during adolescence when social connections prove crucial for emotional security. Literary connections and influences. Where does this book fit within Hinton's own body of work? The Outsiders occupies a foundational position within S.E. Hinton's literary career, establishing thematic concerns, stylistic approaches, and character types that would continue to influence her subsequent novels. These later works include That Was Then, This Is Now, Rumblefish, Tex, and Taming the Star Runner. Each revisited similar themes of adolescent struggle against social constraints and adult authority while developing increasingly sophisticated narrative techniques and psychological insight. However, none achieved the cultural impact or artistic completeness of her debut novel. How does The Outsiders connect to other works from the same time period? The novel's 1967 publication coincided with significant developments in American young adult literature, appearing alongside works such as Robert Lipsyte's The Contender and Paul Zindel's The Pigman, which similarly treated teenage characters with respect and literary sophistication while addressing serious social and psychological themes. These contemporary works shared Hinton's commitment to authentic voice and realistic portrayal of adolescent experience. Social realism experienced renewed vitality during the 1960s as authors sought to address contemporary social problems through accessible fictional narratives. While works like Claude Brown's Manchild in the Promised Land and Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice addressed racial rather than class-based social divisions, they shared Hinton's concern with authentic representation of marginalized youth experience and social criticism that challenged prevailing assumptions about American opportunity and social mobility. An essential question: what earlier works influenced The Outsiders? The literary influences that shape the novel reflect Hinton's sophisticated reading background and her ability to synthesize diverse literary traditions into an innovative approach to young adult fiction. Classic American social realism, particularly the works of John Steinbeck, provided crucial models for Hinton's treatment of economic inequality and social conflict. The Grapes of Wrath and of Mice and Men demonstrate techniques for creating sympathetic portrayals of marginalized characters while maintaining literary sophistication and thematic complexity. Steinbeck's ability to combine accessible storytelling with serious social criticism offered direct inspiration for Hinton's approach to addressing class-based prejudice and economic injustice. The Bildungsroman tradition, particularly as exemplified in Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, influenced Hinton's use of an adolescent narrator to explore complex social and moral issues while maintaining psychological authenticity and emotional accessibility. Lee demonstrated that young protagonists could carry serious literary works while addressing controversial social themes, setting a crucial precedent for the Outsider's treatment of youth characters as capable of sophisticated moral reasoning and social analysis. J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye contributed to Hinton's understanding of authentic adolescent voice and the possibilities for first-person narration that could capture both immediate experience and reflective analysis. However, Hinton's work offered a more optimistic resolution and a stronger emphasis on family and peer relationships as sources of support and identity. Perhaps the most significant aspect of The Outsider's literary legacy is how it influenced later works. The profound influence extends far beyond its immediate impact on young adult fiction. The novel's innovative approach to teenage characters and social themes established new possibilities for literary exploration of youth experience that continue to shape contemporary fiction. Young adult literature, as a distinct publishing category, owes its existence largely to Hinton's demonstration that teenage characters can carry serious literary works while addressing complex social and psychological themes with sophistication and artistic merit. Contemporary authors such as Robert Cormier, Judy Blume, and Chris Crutcher have consistently acknowledged Hinton's pioneering role in establishing the legitimacy and commercial viability of literature that treats adolescent experience with respect and literary seriousness. Contemporary young adult dystopian fiction, including Suzanne Collins's The Hunger Games series and Scott Westerfeld's Uglies series, demonstrates the enduring influence of Hinton's portrayal of youth characters as capable of moral reasoning and social analysis under extreme circumstances. These works maintain the novel's emphasis on loyalty, courage, and individual integrity while adapting its themes to speculative settings. Critical reception and legacy. How was The Outsiders received when it first appeared? The initial critical reception in 1967 revealed the literary establishment's uncertainty about how to evaluate a work that defied conventional categorization while addressing serious social themes through the perspective of a teenage protagonist. The assessment from the New York Times Book Review offered measured praise while expressing uncertainty about the work's classification within existing literary genres. The review acknowledged the novel's authentic voice and compelling narrative while questioning whether serious literature could emerge from such young authorship. This hesitation reflected broader critical assumptions about appropriate literary themes and the relationship between author age and artistic achievement. Publishers Weekly provided enthusiastic early recognition, praising the novel's realistic portrayal of youth culture and its potential appeal to both teenage and adult audiences. The review specifically commended Hinton's ability to avoid condescension while maintaining accessibility, noting the work's sophisticated treatment of social conflict and moral development. The Hornbook magazine, a specialist in children's and young adult literature, provided one of the most perceptive early reviews, recognizing the novel's innovative approach to youth fiction and its potential impact on the emerging field of young adult literature. The review specifically praised Hinton's respectful treatment of teenage characters and her ability to address serious social themes without didactic simplification. Critical opinions didn't remain static, though. Watch how they evolved over time. During the 1970s, Critical opinion shifted significantly as educators and librarians reported the novel's remarkable success in engaging reluctant readers while facilitating meaningful discussion of complex social and moral issues. This practical evidence of the work's educational value began to influence critical assessment, as scholars recognized that popular appeal and literary merit need not be mutually exclusive. The 1980s saw increased academic attention as scholars began developing critical frameworks for evaluating young adult literature as a legitimate field of scholarly inquiry. Feminist critics particularly appreciated Hinton's achievement as a teenage female author who successfully depicted male-dominated youth culture while maintaining artistic integrity and social insight. Marxist and class-based criticism during the 1980s and 1990s provided new frameworks for appreciating the novel's sophisticated analysis of economic inequality and social stratification. Critics recognized Hinton's authentic portrayal of working class experience and her critique of class-based assumptions about character and worth. Today, the current critical consensus recognizes The Outsiders as a foundational work that established young adult literature as a legitimate literary category, while achieving artistic merit and cultural significance that transcend its original context. Contemporary critics appreciate the novel's innovative approach to youth themes, its sophisticated treatment of social issues, and its continuing relevance to understanding American society and adolescent development. The educational impact. Our final major topic, how The Outsiders has been taught in schools. And this is crucial to understanding its lasting cultural impact. The pedagogical history reveals the novel's extraordinary success as educational material, combining literary sophistication with accessibility that makes it one of the most widely taught works in American secondary education. Secondary English curricula have adopted the novel as an ideal medium for introducing students to literary analysis, while addressing contemporary social concerns that resonate with adolescent experience. Teachers consistently report that the work engages reluctant readers while facilitating meaningful discussions of character development, thematic analysis, and social criticism. The novel's combination of accessible language with sophisticated content makes it particularly valuable for diverse classrooms with varying reading abilities and cultural backgrounds. Thematic approaches to instruction have proven particularly effective. Educators use the novel to explore concepts such as social justice, family loyalty, moral courage, and individual versus group identity that connect to students' own experiences while introducing broader social and ethical questions. These thematic connections enable teachers to address contemporary social issues while maintaining focus on literary analysis and developing critical thinking skills. Interdisciplinary instruction has incorporated the novel into social studies, psychology, and sociology courses that examine American social history, youth development, and cultural dynamics. This cross-curricular use demonstrates the work's value beyond traditional English instruction, while providing opportunities for comprehensive examination of its historical context and social significance. Comparative literature approaches have utilized the novel in conjunction with other works addressing similar themes, allowing students to examine how different authors approach youth experience and social conflict. Common pairings include To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, and contemporary young adult novels that continue the traditions established by Hinton's innovative work. Advanced placement and honors courses have incorporated the novel as representative of American literature's engagement with social issues and youth themes, demonstrating its recognition as a serious literary achievement worthy of college level analysis. These advanced applications have contributed to broader acceptance of young adult literature as legitimate academic subject matter while preparing students for university level literary study. Conclusion. As we wrap up today's episode, let's reflect on what makes The Outsiders so enduringly significant. This novel achieved something remarkable. It proved that young adult literature could be both artistically sophisticated and commercially successful, that teenage characters could carry complex themes, and that adolescent readers deserved literature that respected their intelligence and engaged with their real concerns. From its revolutionary publication in 1967 to its current status as a canonical work of American literature, The Outsiders has maintained its relevance across generations. Its influence can be traced through decades of subsequent young adult fiction. Its presence is felt in classrooms across the country, and its themes of social division, loyalty, and the search for identity continue to resonate with readers of all ages. Whether you're studying this novel for school, teaching it in your classroom, or reading it for personal enrichment, understanding its historical context, literary influences, and cultural impact deepens your appreciation of Hinton's achievement. This wasn't just a successful book, it was a transformative one that changed the landscape of American literature and opened new possibilities for writers and readers alike. Now that we've explored the background, context, and cultural significance of The Outsiders, we're ready to dive into the novel itself. In our next episode, we'll examine the structural analysis of the work, looking at how Hinton crafted her narrative, the techniques she used to create such a compelling story, and the way the novel's structure supports its themes. Be sure to join us for episode 2, where we'll get into the mechanics of what makes The Outsiders work so brilliantly as literature. And remember, if you want the complete analysis in one place, you can find the full University Teaching Edition publication of critical commentary for The Outsiders on Amazon, along with our entire catalog of books, each of which provides a comprehensive critical examination of an outstanding work of literature. Thanks for joining us on the Literary Deep Dive. Until next time, keep reading deeply.